Hello, hi. Just getting my dose of vitamins in. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Gugu Masugu, and today we are reviewing Nissan's new Magnite. So this vehicle was launched, I think, I drove this maybe 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, could be 4, when they launched the new Nissan, or the Nissan Magnite. This is the updated version of the car, and Nissan has made a few upgrades here in this. Notably on the outside, it's the chrome bits. So you get chrome around the grille, you get chrome on the door handles, you get chrome in the back. So there's a lot of chrome going on in this car. And those are the upgrades that Nissan has done on the outside. It also comes with 16-inch wheels. Personally, not a big fan of the chrome. It just makes it look a bit tacky, it's a bit much. I'd rather have it de-chromed than chromed, but of course different tastes for different folks. Some people like the bling bling. Personally, I don't fancy it. So Nissan Magnite is essentially also the Renault Kiger. It's basically the same car in terms of underpinnings. We'll get into that in a second, but this is what we're driving today. And I think the biggest changes to this car is the interior. They've really done a good job on the interior. The interior of this looks stunning. It's not real leather, it's artificial leather, Forks leather, I think they refer to it as, and it looks stunning. It's a combination of this sort of orange and black and orange stitching, but it's all over the place. It's not just on the seats, it's all over the vehicle. The door panels, the dashboard, you just find it everywhere, and it really makes the interior look nice. It makes it look sort of premium and feel premium. And speaking of interior, the one thing I like about this is that you do get an infotainment screen. Obviously that facilitates your media, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you name it, and basically smartphone integration, right? But you also get buttons and dials here. So if I want to hop into my vehicle and I want to quickly lock the doors because of where we live, my advice, jump in, lock the doors, always. That's like rule number 1, so they can't snatch you, right? There's a button for that, a dedicated button for locking and unlocking the doors. You also get aircon dials for your aircon. I can adjust my speed, my fan speed. I can adjust my temperature here, as well as the third one that allows me to dictate or decide where the air comes from. So that's a really nice thing. And I've said this before, that the less expensive manufacturers like your Nissans, your Suzukis, they're still giving you aircon dials and everything else to control your aircon on, whereas you go to your premium manufacturers and everything is taken and put into a screen. Now what many people don't realize is that that is cost saving, right? It costs money to add a dial here to increase your temperature, or a button to increase your temperature. It's a lot easier to just program it into the screen. So you're paying so much money for your premium brands, but you're not really getting value for money, because that's whatever they're doing, where they're putting everything into a screen, is not being passed on to you, the customer, the buyer, right? So that is a bit of cheating, which I don't fully appreciate from manufacturers. And when you do get a manufacturer like this that's giving you all of that, it's really nice to see. You also get a wireless charging pad here. And by the way, this version of the Nissan Magnite is the top spec. So this is like the top spec that comes with everything: wireless charging pad, USB port, all of it. You're also getting the new Nissan badge. So Nissan decided to rebadge and rebrand, essentially in terms of their badging, and this vehicle does come with that. It does feature that, and I think it's a nice badge. It's a nice looking badge. It looks futuristic. Just climbing onto someone's driveway here to do a U-turn, because I'm not fully sure where I am. I'm just driving around and talking. So the badge, you see it here on the steering wheel, you see it on the outside of the vehicle as well. Does look nice. And you know, it's interesting when you look at Nissan as a brand. Obviously there were rumors that Nissan is sinking and, you know, things are going under, and I think where there's smoke there's fire, essentially. And my opinion is that the Nissan Magnite is the only thing currently that is propping the Nissan brand, you know, in terms of keeping the brand alive and sales. If you look around in the streets, there are a lot of Magnites. People are buying them. It is the more affordable option from the brand, and it's really the bread and butter right now. So they're really clinging on to the skin of their teeth, these little bad boys here. and they're surviving. Okay, so let's get into the drive and what you can expect from the Magneto here. So this is essentially a 999cc vehicle, but for manufacturing purposes and media purposes, it's a 1 liter. It's basically a 1 liter 3-cylinder, which is what they put in here. It's a small engine, but it's turbocharged, and that's the nice thing about it. It's turbocharged, so you don't really feel the effect of it being a small engine. I mean, you drive a Suzuki Jimny, it's a 1.5 naturally aspirated. I keep coming into these dead ends and roundabouts and don't really know where I am. This is my neighborhood, but you know, you don't really drive all the streets and the neighbors look at you funny. I'm sure you can see them there in that car. Yeah, there they are. Where was I? If you drive a Suzuki Jimny, it's a 1.5 naturally aspirated engine, and that thing is difficult to drive. It's a donkey essentially because it's not turbocharged. So as long as the vehicle is turbocharged, it can be a liter, it can be a 1.5, but if you've got a turbocharger on it, it performs fairly decently. This is pushing out what, 74 kilowatts, and it's a nice city car. It's a nice city runabout. You don't feel too much turbo lag. It's really nice to drive around town. It's also paired to a CVT gearbox, and as much as I'm not the biggest fan of CVT gearboxes, this is not bad. It's actually pretty good. You don't feel or realize that it's a CVT. So I think Nissan's done a fairly good job on that one, sticking a CVT in there and you're not even realizing that it's a CVT gearbox. Obviously, if you get other versions of this, lower derivatives, those do come in manual. So if you prefer changing gears, which I really wouldn't advise, especially living in the city and driving in traffic, not the best idea. It's not ideal, but you can get it in manual, and it's obviously cheaper in manual. I think the starting price here of the Nissan Magnite is around 200,000 rand, but obviously you're not really going to get much. You're not going to get this fancy interior and cruise control and a multi-function steering wheel and push to start here and all of these other nice things. And I want to talk to you about the competitors to this. As I mentioned, this is basically Renault Kiger. So Nissan and Renault came together and decided, hey, we're going to share technologies, we're going to share parts, we're going to share a vehicle. It's exactly the same car, just different badges and aesthetic things. So engine is the same, the underpinnings, chassis, everything else is the same, and certain things in the interior as well you do recognize, like these dials, like the screen. It's also found in the Kiger. But the difference between the two vehicles is that this comes in at 410,000 rand, and the Kiger, when I say comes in, I'm talking about this spec, the top spec. The Kiger, like for like, top spec comes in at what, 360,000 rand. So that's the difference between the two. It's like a 50,000 rand difference, right? But when you look at what you're getting, you sort of see why there's a 50,000 rand gap. For instance, in this vehicle, you are getting 6 airbags, which means safety is essentially covered, right? 6 airbags in here. In the Kiger, you're getting 4 airbags for all your troubles. You're getting cruise control and all these other nice things. You're not getting cruise control over there. So there are differences where you can kind of see, you get this interior, these seats that look really nice, whereas in the Kiger, you're getting cloth seats. So it's really up to you where you want to go. Do you want to spend 50,000 rand less? You're obviously going to get less, but it's going to treat your pockets a bit better. The other alternative, if you're looking for a car in this segment and, you know, price sensitive, you're looking for something nice to get around, is that Suzuki Fronx. If you haven't seen that review, I think that review is on my TikTok page. So go into my TikTok page, you'll see the review of that. It's 2 to 4 wheels ZA. That vehicle, the Suzuki Fronx, comes in at 355. That's your top spec, like spec'd to the hilt. You're getting so many features in a small car that shouldn't really have those features. I really enjoyed that about the car. And yeah, that'll set you back 355. In terms of space, it's quite interesting that the Nissan Magnite looks bigger than the Suzuki Fronx, but in terms of space, that is a bit more spacious, especially in the back. I mean, I can fit myself in the back of this, but I found that I was way more comfortable in the back of the Suzuki Fronx. So those are your options. Like for like, 355 for the Suzuki Fronx, 360 for the Renault Kiger, and 410 for this. It's your call. All right, you guys, if you've enjoyed the video and you like what you've seen and you found value in it, because value is important, you got to get value out of it, please drop a like and do not forget to follow and subscribe, push that button, and I'll see you on the next one.